The Colombian government, with US backing, is pressing ahead with a crop replacement program. In this case, a milder stimulant coffee to replace cocaine. Cash crop replacement for narcotics has been tried throughout the world, but harsh experience has shown that crop replacement schemes rarely succeed.
Las cosas de narcotráfico nunca marchan bien.
When narco-trafficking becomes involved, things never go well. Things go badly because they try to stop us farming the stuff, and we lose the product and our money. Now with coffee we get different prices. Sometimes a producer gets 8,000 pesos, while others get 12 or 15 or 20,000. It doesn't make sense, because one does well, but another one goes under.
The war between the government and the main narcotics-funded guerrilla groups such as FARC shows no signs of letting up.
These groups are funded from the drug business, and as long as we try to contain cocaine growing, they will try to grow them in neighboring countries, so this is a regional menace. The other threat is that since they are finding it difficult to kidnap people in Colombia, they will start to kidnap people anywhere else, like in neighboring countries. But this also has an impact on the Amazonian ecosystem, since they can destroy land to grow drugs and will start to do so in Amazonian countries.
For countries such as Colombia, conflict starts to become endemic. And that makes it increasingly difficult to escape the conflict trap. The guerrillas know this, and that's why they often target children to create a dynasty of violence. 12-year-old Luz Esperanza was taken after guerrillas burst into her school, killing her teacher.
They
wanted us students to leave, to give over food. It was hard. A lot of guerrillas. They wanted us to run drugs, arms and such like.
More than half of the kidnappings in the world take place in Colombia. It is widespread, it is rampant. Kidnapping does not only affect the very rich and the very powerful in Colombia, it penetrates and pervades all of Colombian society. Even people who are lower class or lower middle class are also victims of kidnapping.
No, yo fui secuestrado en el 90. Yo
I
era un
was kidnapped in 1990
muy agresivo, investigativo,
because I was a very aggressive journalist against drug dealing and Pablo Escobar.
En un momento dado, Pablo Escobar, que casi logra
Pablo Escobar sequestered several journalists
secuestró un grupo
to blackmail the government,
para chantajear los medios de comunicación en los que estábamos, para chantajear al gobierno y para tenernos como rehenes para cambiarnos en caso de que fuera capturado.
Violence in Colombia is affecting thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people in this region, within Colombia and in the neighboring countries. But the ripples of conflict have reached as far as Australia, North America, and Western Europe. The role that the international community should play in trying to alleviate the consequences of this conflict on the civilian population are very important indeed.
Geography is also a player. Guerrillas and their wars gravitate to places they can hide, dense urban slums, or the remote vastness of mountain hillsides. The writ of the state has not run here within living memory.
Drugs basically require territory that is outside the control of the state. Because it's an illegal activity, the state must not be present there, because if the state is present, the state will do something about the drug problem. And so drugs tend to be concentrated in countries affected by conflict or that quite haven't recovered. Afghanistan in the case of opium, cocaine, for example, in the case of Colombia.
Nor does law and order mean much here in the slums of the capital.
Why does Colombia ask for assistance from rich countries? Because we have a transparent and strong democracy, so we have legitimacy to ask for help. But we also ask for assistance because this violence is funded by an illegal business, which is drug dealing.
Every time an American consumes cocaine aspiring into his nose, the money goes back to Colombia to kill Colombians. The money goes back to those organizations and groups outside the law, drug dealers, etc. And the money is used to make bombs, lay landmines, or kill Colombians.
I want no more wars, no more killings. And I want Colombia to be a nice place.
Human beings do not have much foresight, much wisdom to do something before something happens. You see, politicians do not want to act until events become real tragedies.
We think it is a great success because under the same roof we have students whose parents were fighting among each other only 10 years ago.
Sve ovaj Mostar razdeljen na dva dijela. I Bog zna kad će biti jedan. Taj most samo neko je napravio.
I am a taxi driver, and I don't think that this bridge is any symbol. They just want to call it a symbol. It didn't unite the nations. We are still separated.
To je istina prava i stojim za toga. Taksista. Koji svaki dan vidimo.
Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina. In 1984, it was the site of the Winter Olympics. Less than a decade later, it erupted into violence as ancient ethnic and religious tensions surfaced. Today, the scene is peaceful as hesitant steps are taken towards rebuilding a nation. The different ethnic groups in the Balkan Peninsula have a history of conflict stretching back to the Middle Ages. From 1992 for 41 months, Sarajevo was under siege by the Serbs. There were few ways to get food and fuel into the city. Snipers killed townspeople every day.
I had 2 children in the war and I had a chance to leave the country. But I just thought that I didn't have the right to take my children and leave my family because my whole family was here. And I was hoping that this will be end because when you watch the news, when we had the power, of course, they were always promising to do something, but they didn't do anything.
250,000 people were killed during the civil war in Bosnia. Here, the conflict can be traced to a centuries-old tussle between Ottoman Muslims and the Greek Orthodox Slavs. With much bigger families in the Islamic communities, the Bosnian Serbs began to see themselves becoming a minority. Today, the main hope for an enduring peace is acceptance into the European Union.
Our people are very much focused on being Europeans and being part of Europe. And that means setting aside what happened and working on something new together.
Gaining entry to the community means not only reconciliation, but the more boring part of development, building a tax structure, getting VAT going and so forth.